is it the presence of language? We have kind of touched base on it. So, did language limit, or did language create the need for us to discover patterns on a continuum? Like, is that why even music can only be enjoyed if there is a pattern to it?
Okay, I need to clarify. By language, do you mean spoken language?
No, I would say communication as a device.
Communication as a device. Do you mean a human device?
Yes, the nature of exhibiting and being perceived and vice versa.
To answer your second question, is music more enjoyable?
Because it has a language.
So, music can be divided into two languages, the language of the musical instrument and the language of the cultural singer.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when it comes to the cultural singer...
Yeah, one second. Continue.
When it comes to the language of the singer, I think more people who are not engaged with a musical instrument can benefit from that. Because they speak, they listen, they read on a daily basis. So when somebody sings, there's something innate about the human voice. There's something very special about the human voice. It is not only is it a primal thing, it could be a divine thing as well. It could be a certain recognition of divinity. Even let's say pop stars, we associate divinity in music with classical music or Sufi music, something like that. But pop stars also have a certain degree of divinity. That's why they're able to move the masses. That's why they're able to sing songs that actually millions of people can actually relate to. That is also a sign of a certain divine quality.
That poses another question. Has in the pursuit of creation, which caused people to reduce things and find smaller components and then create. That's how it. So let's say the first person didn't start from. I don't think if you are the first human to make a music or a sound that is likable, even if it is one specific note or one sound, it didn't come because you thought I have to create this too.
Correct.
It came.
Correct.
Then there's one among the listener who wants to recreate, and he thought, oh, he did it this way, I have to do it this way.
Correct.
This is where the pattern identification came into creation.
Okay. This is a very good point.
And this is why AI can, for example, now create music.
Correct.
But there is, and this is not just me being critical or like the political about AI, but I'm saying there is a difference between whether it's created by AI or whether it's created by a content creator. The person you call an that artist, the
Correct.
Put the camera on me person. That person is creating with patterns. And that's not just music, it's in film, it's in poetry, it's in writing. They found repeating patterns that had a certain impact on people. My question is, there is no divinity there, that's just manufactured.
Correct. There's no divinity there. That's a good point. So the question remains, when does something sound divine, or when does something read divine, when does something feel divine? Moving away from the pattern conversation, I think the question of divinity arises when something gives you enormous hope and inspiration. I think if you look at, let's say, a content creator, musician, filmmaker, poet, podcast holder, anything, if that content inspires you, and that inspiration burns for a long time, and you actually end up doing something on the tracks of that inspiration, it has a certain sense of divinity. If it is just for pure entertainment, then it's not divine. It's relaxing or it's engaging. But if it inspires you to change your ways, then it has some quality to it, some very minute aspect of divinity. Because divinity is not something you can dismiss. Divinity is not something that you can read about or listen to and then put it down and forget about it. You can't. It will consume you. It's like it's an obsession of sorts.
I think in the context of subtraction, let's subtract divinity or at least reduce it into.
Okay.
So how would you reduce it? How would you reduce it and still be able to distinguish divinity from an engineered?
Alright. So let's say we all know Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast setup in the world. And he has like thousands of episodes, not only on YouTube, on Spotify, probably on other platforms, I'm not aware of that. Now, how many of those podcasts, those 3 hours or 2 hour podcasts, how many of them do you still remember to this day that have had significant impact on your information regime? Those podcasts have a hint of divinity. The things that were said. It's not that somebody divine or Joe became divine in that particular pod. It's not that.
Yeah.
As they speak, there are certain minutes of divine information coming through. Those are the things that stick with you forever. Like I remember a few episodes when I don't remember who was on it. They were talking about magic mushrooms or DMT or something like that. Yeah. So those were the episodes that I really enjoyed. Then later on, maybe I'm not very connected to the other spheres of conversation, so it did not really relate to me.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that will always stick to you. See, a lot of people come on this podcast and talk about it. Jordan Peterson was there, and he spoke about Christianity and Christ and God and everything. Just because you talk about God does not make it divine.
Yeah.
Okay. It's informative. It is intellectual. Divinity is not intellectual. Divinity is somewhere beyond the intellect. Divinity is what did he say? There's the intuitive intrigue, intuitive interest. Like, what did he say? You can suddenly start relating it to a completely unrelated thing that happened to you in the past, or something completely unrelated. Like, how does that has a certain symmetry to it. That has a certain symmetry that can connect you with a higher interest, it's inspiring to listen to those things. Now, coming back to patterns, how much of it can you subtract and still maintain divinity? Let's say, for example, again, there's a song called For Nobuko by an artist called Stefan Mikus. It's a German artist. I heard it in 2019. I heard it today morning as well. It's one of the most important pieces I've ever heard in my life. It is a 20-minute piece, only guitar and silence, that's it. No drums, no vocals, nothing, just guitar and silence. Now the concept of subtraction here happens at multiple levels. If there was a vocal element or a drum element or another instrument, it would not have been as divine. The fact that there is only the guitar and there is only silence, okay, it makes it more divine than it would be if there were other instruments. Then another thing. At another level, there are particular parts in the song which are very memorable. It's like, what I showed about the rhythm thing, that you can catch on to and repeat in your head, that pattern gets looped in your head. There are parts like that. And then there are parts which are more in time, which are more wavy. They are waving forwards and then it catches into that circular repeating pattern, and then again it waves, and then again it catches on. So these waves, although if you listen to it at first, they might not seem as prominent as the thing that repeats and sticks to your head. But because of this wave, the artist could reach this. And because then the end justifies the means. Because the artist reached this point, this journey also becomes divine. It becomes a divine journey. Let's say, for example, you went in search of God and you did not find God. So your journey is then not divine. But you went in search of God and everybody called you a fool, and then you actually found divinity or nothingness, pure divinity. Then that entire journey becomes divine, right? Everything falls in line, all the things that you had to hear. It becomes a part of that theodrama. So
yeah, I was going to ask specifically that. So the synonymity of divinity and nothingness, which again boils down to what we started off with. I wanted to try and question myself. Is subtraction just a construct? Or is assigning some sort of again, there are no non-polar words, but still is assigning peace or contentment to subtraction. Very subjective politics, or is there actually something to it?
there is something to it. This is my understanding and my firm belief that human beings are incapable of originality. Human beings have not been able to come up with a singular original concept. Because of how naive we are, we think we came up with it. We think we are responsible for coming up with concepts. We are very naive as creatures. We are very actually innocent. Even the most evil person is a very naive and innocent person because they think they are so powerful. The moment you empty their bank accounts, they are out on the streets. They have no power. They have no say. It's what they can provide people that gives them the illusion that they have power. And it is the same with, let's say, life around you. Originality, as you said, the first man who made a sound did not intend on making an original sound. Originality seeped through that person. Originality is something of its own. It's like a child without any lineage. It is born of its own kind. Originality is like that. It comes through and you can never replicate it. You can simply understand, okay, you can study it, understand the patterns, then the second person, as you said, has the intention of creating something like that, and that ruins it. Originality does not come with intention. You cannot intend on being original. You can intend on being open, receptive, and accepting of whatever comes through. So, as you said, the comparison between nothingness and, let's say, God. When we say nothingness, we have eliminated God as well.
Yeah.
God being, for example, the conclusive image that we present of God, whether it's the God of the Jews, whether it's God of the Muslim people, whether it's our Hindu gods, we assume and associate a kind of extreme capacity to do, the extreme capacity to be responsible, the extreme capacity of everythingness to them.
Which is all basically human.
I wouldn't say human, because again, human beings are not capable of coming up with original ideas. Human beings are capable of dressing up ideas that already exist in the field of life. They can dress it up according to their mindset, which is basically a cultural thing. They can dress it up. For example, the same comparisons, the age-long comparison between Indra and Thor. Same god of lightning, or Zeus, god of lightning.
Yeah.
Okay, so god of lightning in all three cultures, Norse, Greek, Hindu. God of lightning flies in the sky, lives in the clouds, uses thunder as his weapon, supreme god, king of gods. So this concept did not come from human beings. This concept found its way through civilizations, through different times, into different books, into different characters, through the mind of the person, however capable they were, they picturized it and they assimilated the qualities and tried to give it form according to that person. But the true essence of the idea is not from a human being. This is where things get actually interesting. This idea that I am actually very against, that human beings made up all these great stories and this and that. It's not true. You are accrediting a lot of potential to human beings there. Human beings are very incapable creatures. Human beings can't really get out of bed in the morning if they had a rough night. They are not very capable as creatures. I've seen dogs running on 3 legs, having the best day of their lives. Okay, so human beings are very sorry creatures. Human beings are very weak creatures. The only time the human being actually starts to make sense to the world and to themselves is when they exceed their humanity. When they stop giving this excuse, I'm only human. Okay, that is when they actually start making a difference in their life at least. Okay, I'm only human, I can only do so much. It is only human to make a mistake. No, they have become excuses over time. Human beings are not capable of originality, nor is any creature. Even if aliens come down, I'm pretty sure they are not capable of originality. Based on who you are, based on the kind of experiences you've had. If I ask you, do you have a body or are you the body? What would you say?
I am the body.
You are the body?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Which is where again the subtraction comes in. I've been trying to find out, is there an existence of me that is not the body or my mind? And more I lean towards no, there isn't. There is, because like we said, the divinity is also nothingness. So I'm willing to believe that I do not exist. I'm willing to believe that that is a necessary illusion I have to subscribe to on a daily basis.
It is a necessary illusion. The question that I asked, the reason I asked is this. If you are to assume that you are the body, at one level, at the most basic level, what most people go through, they assume that this is it.
Yeah.
I was born, I did my life, I will die, and that is it. Somebody gets a bit wise and they say, no, I'm not the body. I must be the mind. Okay. Then somebody reads a few more books and say, no, I'm not the mind. I have a mind. And they keep going and say, I'm the soul. Somebody says, no, I have a soul. Okay, I must be something else. They keep going, and then they say, perhaps there is nothing. Perhaps I am nothing and there is truly nothing. Perhaps the I am does not really exist. The I amness does not really exist, so there is nothing. Perhaps the there isness also does not exist. Okay. So then when that realization comes across, then you are the body, you are the mind, you are the spirit, you are the soul. You are everything. Because if everything is nothing, and nothing is all that there is, then that is it. But in the subsequent stages, in the initial stages, when you are asking these questions, you slowly come across, I have this, but I'm not this. I have a guitar, I'm not the guitar. Okay, I can maybe sometimes blend into the nature of the instrument while I'm playing music, but I'm not the guitar. The guitar is separate from me, at the most common sense. You have a phone, you're not the phone. So, like that, the question comes around, do you have a self or are you the self? Some people would say, I am the self. Some people would say, I have a self. I have a sense of self. Okay. So, the negation of self comes around when you progress towards the realization or the experience that I am the self to I have a sense of self. That is when the first degree of negation comes around. The still I have or I am still remains after you negate that you are the self. Then when it comes around to total nothingness, that is the end of the self. There is no more self there. That is when the total negation happens. That whatever bit you thought you were, you are not. And this you are not finally results in nothingness. This nothingness to me is a very, I don't know how to put it. I have a certain interest, like a romantic interest in nothingness. Okay, it's like, I don't know why. Nothingness to me has a very, I don't know why. It goes against a common sense in me, but it goes against that. Nothingness is kind of feminine to me. Nothingness is like it has a feminine quality to it for some reason. And I think there is, I don't know, I've had certain experiences of the nature of nothingness, which is again a very paradoxical thing to say, that nature itself cannot exist if there is nothingness. Do you get it? The nature of nothingness. It's like, but let's just entertain the example per se. Nothingness has a very paradoxical nature. It is like the assimilation of everything and more than everything. It is like everything decompressed. Okay, everything that was compressed into this absolute point of white light has been decompressed completely into this nothingness. Okay, it's like a source code. It's like a source code that is so difficult to comprehend because it keeps contradicting itself. That is what nothingness is to me. Yeah, it's like the absolute paradox is what nothingness is to me, because that's what this, nothing is real, nothingness is everything. So it is the absolute paradox. It is the final level of paradoxical phenomena. The negation of self. Self is like nothingness comprised into that absolute point of white light. The all-knowing self. Okay. The illumination of the self, the white light, is the self. That is actually what people refer to as God. God is like, God and nothingness are basically the same thing. The only difference is God is like, God understands the paradoxical nature of nothingness. God is the master at subtraction. Because God has subtracted nothingness from, God has understood nothingness by subtracting the paradox.
Each time I'm... sorry.
It's all right.
Each time, the moment you, for example, the best way to put this, you said I became aware of the relevance of this irrelevance. But that awareness is just what I subtracted. Because that awareness is an acknowledgement of the existence of self. And in the pursuit of infinite subtraction, I'm trying to find out what it is without self. I'm postulating that, and this is merely for entertainment and engagement. It's not for Nobel Prize tomorrow, but the self doesn't. We don't exist. We are, and you have to again subtract subjectivity from it. When I say we don't exist, I don't mean in the sense that I create you, you create us. There's not any of that. But then we are just we are just a limitation or a projection of our conscious capacity, which is by far the same as same. You cannot add comparative nature to it, but same as the worms or the spiders or the giraffes or the bacteria's conscious state of existence. A bacteria is aware of another bacteria in whatever sense awareness is for them. A plant is aware of. So, in that heightened state of subtraction, everything stops. At that, there is no more the awareness of the irrelevance. In fact, there is nothing. In fact, I don't even know if our worries have got there, because at that point you don't search for food, you don't search for. I think there's just death, right?
There is just death, but I think that requires a certain degree of honesty. If you're truly spiritual, you wouldn't want to live any more than what you can. I think to be truly spiritual is to acknowledge life and death without any kind of force. The body has, the mind has a force to keep us alive, right? It keeps reproducing cells to keep us alive. If you decide today, you're not going to eat. You're not going to see. Being spiritual does not mean I'm going to kill myself right now, because I have understood that there is nothing.
Yeah.
It means that there is nothing, there's no point to killing myself either. There's no point in death either.
Yeah.
In that sense. I will simply wither away. Whenever it happens, it happens. I don't give a fuck. Okay. That to me is spiritual. That requires a certain degree of courage, because it goes against the fundamental algorithm of life. Life wants you to live. Life wants you to reproduce. Life wants not just children. Life wants you to provide ideas. Life wants you to give other people your time. Life wants you to take time from other people. Life wants this engagement, this entertainment. Life wants it. Now, life, birth and death, two things within the field of life. Life wants birth, life wants death. That is how it keeps itself going. Now, the thing is, it's very difficult to truly be spiritual. Spirituality is not... See, you can't practice being free. Spirituality is basically freedom. Freedom from freedom itself. That is true spirituality. When you are free from this urge to be free.
Yeah.
Because we cannot practice freedom. We cannot really harness spirituality like that unless, as I said, originality reaches out to you. It's like your perception of life itself, whether within or without. It's not something you can learn through any external medium. It's not something you can copy. It comes through you. It speaks through you. It ideates through you. Now, the question comes around, how relevant is it? I think it is determined by your presence in this world. This world, whether you call it an illusion or whether you think this is a real world, it is determined by your presence in this world. I believe everything that a person says is true, but not right now. This is what I believe. Let's say today you say something like, nothing is real. Okay. Somebody might say, but see, if you punch the wall, your hand will hurt. So this is real. And you can argue with them as long as you want to. They will be convinced this is real. Somewhere down the line in their life, they're going to die. And whatever sentience or consciousness remains of them will encounter this nothingness. Then you will be right to them. Okay, I remember that person in that world had said nothing is real. So whether they remember you or not, they will experience nothingness to be the finality of the situation. You're right there. You have to, somebody perhaps 5,000 years ago must have said something or the other, in some timeline, in some parallel reality, in some strata of life, in some age, that must have been true. In some irrelevant moment in existence, that thing was true. And the same thing is going to happen. Whatever you say, this is why I like to hear everyone's opinion on everything. Because I think somewhere they're telling me the truth. They have discovered something really fundamentally true about life. And it is the most ridiculous thing. It might be the most ridiculous thing to hear on a certain day. A few days go by and I think somewhere they're right. Somewhere, somehow, mysteriously, they must have knocked on something that rings true. And that gives me this understanding that there are two ways of experience. One is being a part of the experience, the other is observing everything from a distance. And these are two different realities. The third way is there. That is where both are happening simultaneously and the third thing is happening independently. That is difficult. That is a difficult experience to have. It happens in a difficult way. But the two common things, being a part of it and being apart from it and witnessing it all. The witness's point of view and the experiential point of view, both the doer's point of view. So, both of them will have different stories to tell. But they are talking about the same thing. They saw, that's why this, it's like listening back to a long song that we made, okay? When you played it, you could have had your doubts about it or you could have really liked it. Once you listen back to it, that doubt becomes certainty that, okay, this is very good, or what you thought to be very good, maybe this could have been better. Okay. When you're doing it, the experience is different. And when you're observing it from a distance, the experience is different. But it is the same thing. Your shift in consciousness from the doer to the observer changes your perception of reality. And your shift in consciousness, or the word I don't know, from the observer to the, to that thing, it obliterates experience in my understanding. It's like what the Hindus say, to Vishnu the world exists, and Vishnu being God. To Shiva, Vishnu does not exist. Okay. Brahm, what they call Brahm. To Brahman, not even Vishnu exists, not even God exists. To Brahman there is truly nothing. Okay. In Brahman's experience, Brahman is considered to be the masculine, they call it he. Okay. In Brahman's experience there is truly nothing. But from Vishnu's experience the world exists. Okay, the Vishnu becomes the observer consciousness. So that is why it's very difficult for me to say that something is, true, because I know the moment consciousness changes its location, the experience of reality changes completely. It's like everything is blurry. Like if I created a cult now of blind people, the world is a blurry place, and somebody wanted to put specs on me, say, no, this is black magic, how can the world, see, this is my reality. I have confirmed to this, I have reinforced this. The moment my consciousness changes, the most obvious thing, I cannot believe it, I cannot understand it, how can this be, this is what I believed for so long. It's better to go like this in this world. Okay. So you have both perspectives, and when you have both perspectives, you cannot really take sides. Or actually you can take sides, but that comes at a compromise, that comes at a moral compromise. Let's say both people have reasons to fight against each other. At that given moment, at that moment of time that you're in your mental and human capacity, the judgment you make has to be more right than wrong. And that is the compromise we must face. Your decisions cannot ever be truly right. But it can be more right than, it can be 51-49. That's all that matters.
Isn't it disruptive though, to to listen to everything? Isn't it disruptive to your pursuit or the entertainment system that you have developed for yourself? If I have to reduce it that,
I would say yes. I would say the primary job of a musician is to listen. Is that what you meant? By when you said
yeah. For a moment, let's maybe kind of cut it down and become the suffering human, okay?
Okay.
And therefore, for you to listen to some pop star who engineers music,
okay.
isn't that disruptive?
Is it disruptive? I don't think it's disruptive. I'll tell you where it can become disruptive is when, let's say I see myself as a particular kind of musician, which means I do not see myself as every other kind of musician. That is when it can become disruptive. Because I have already told myself, this is what I do and this is what I don't do. It's better to say this is what I do and not say this is what I don't do. Because let's say a pop star can make a song that I might not like, but if I engage with the same pop star, our collaboration could be something that he likes and I like. Do you get it? That is something that I enjoy. That is why I would listen to the things I don't necessarily agree with. Because I cannot assume in my head somebody knows less than me or more than me. I cannot agree to that because it would mean I've centered myself in a certain way, which I actually have not. I don't assume I know more than people, I don't assume I know less than people. Okay, I think I know enough to get through the day. That's enough for me. If somebody comes and tells me from a different vocation, within the realm that I dwell in, music, somebody plays rap music, somebody does electronic music stuff, something I know nothing about, and something somewhere maybe I kind of look down upon. Okay, electronic music and stuff. Because maybe I grew up, admiring the musicians and doing it in that way where you work hard with your hands and you go through the pain and you learn all the scales and the chords and then the traditional kind of way. And that when somebody comes up with basically an induction cooker and starts spinning knobs and you kind of say, well, it doesn't matter. But there is a very deep study of that thing that I have not done myself. I have not done it. So, and maybe I can look at it from a broader perspective and say, Jim, but I don't want to look at it from a broader perspective. That's my thing. I want to look at it from a very technical perspective. Because if I learn what he's doing or what she's doing on that, I don't know what it's called, the electronic thing. If I learn a bit of that, how can I utilize that information in my realm? That's what I'm thinking about. Because over time, I think I have learned not to, it's not like I don't take myself seriously. I don't take other people not seriously. I take them seriously as well. When they contribute, because this is what I think. At the most human level, that, as you said, as the suffering human being, I don't think their struggle is any less than mine. It could be more than mine. They might be doing something that I don't really like, but that does not account for their suffering. That does not account for the trials and tribulations in their life. So, in respect to the human being I am, it allows me to appreciate what they do. They do it in their own way. And it might interfere with the way I perceive things to be. But that does not determine that thing's quality. You have to understand this.